I just want to make a really quick video to address one of the concerns that I'm seeing in comments at this point. There's this dude right here, Ricardo Nunez, and he claimed watching this video today makes me laugh my ass off, right? So what he's referring to is this video that I made claiming that the IMF killed Bitcoin and the US government killed Bitcoin. Basically, in that video, my premise about Bitcoin was that as soon as the government got involved with Bitcoin and they started making people prove their records for Bitcoin, all of the purchases that they've made and whatnot, Bitcoin was $6,535 back in June 13, 2018. Now, since then, the stock market has gone through its changes. But again, the stock market has been mostly up since 2016 when Trump got into office. Why is that? Well, what Trump did was Trump put forth a tax cut. The tax cut basically gave more money to the multinational corporations, and it allowed them to do something called buying back their own stock. By buying back their own stock, what they basically, imagine you own a lemonade stand and imagine you want to make yourself look profitable. Imagine your lemonade stand allowed you to sell shares to people in the community. And okay, let's imagine your shares were the lemonade itself. And normally people are going to go to your lemonade stand and they're going to buy your lemonade, right? Now, obviously, the more lemonade you sell, the better you're going to do and the more money you're going to make. Now, here's the problem. The government always comes in and they say, you know what? You need to be regulated. We got to make sure your lemons are fresh. We got to make sure your ice is fresh. We got to make sure your water's fresh and blah, 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 blah. We're going to tax you. So not only are we going to put these regulations on you that makes certain that your lemonade is fresh and it's clean and everything, but on top of that, if you make more than $600, we're going to tax you. So what ends up happening is you start paying taxes, and as a person who owns the business, you actually start to lose money because now you got to pay taxes. The thing about it is these multinational corporations, they've figured out ways to get around taxes by doing most of their business in other countries, i.e. China, Thailand, South Korea, whatever. But now, what Trump did was Trump gave them a tax cut, which allowed them to buy back their own stock to make themselves look more profitable. Apple went to its shareholders, and they bought back stock. Microsoft did it. Google did it. Amazon did it. So basically, these people were buying back their own stock, making themselves look more profitable, sucking in even more investor money because now everybody wants to be part of a rising tide. So they're putting in more money and whatnot. Bitcoin, over that same amount of time since Trump got in, has basically been stagnant. So if we look at Bitcoin's price, I'm going to make this real quick. The problem with YouTube right now is YouTube doesn't allow you to make a video about a couple of things. If you talk about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, you can bet that your video will be demonetized. If you talk about coronavirus, if you make the mistake of putting coronavirus into your ads, or not your ads, your tagline, you can bet that your video will be demonetized. So I can't even mention the things I want to talk about, and only people who are going to see these videos know what I'm talking about. It's a pain in the ass. If you look at Bitcoin over the last 5 years, now granted, 2018 wasn't 5 years ago, but Bitcoin had a massive rise. What was this? At about the Bitcoin rise, let's say Bitcoin started down here. Let's say this was $327. Now, I really first started getting into Bitcoin around $500. So that was about, what was it? About 2016. Yeah, that sounds about right. As you know, Bitcoin had a massive rise during November 2017 up to the point where it hit about $10,000. And then it continued and it hit right there. It hit $19,650. It went up so quickly that all of a sudden, it was as if there was a trigger that was hit, and all of a sudden, machines basically stopped trading in it, and it started to plummet. Once that plummeted, it never, ever got back above this point right here, which was 11,865. Never got, well, actually, I think it went a little bit higher. I don't know if there's a way I could zoom in on this, but as you can see, that was the trend, and it never, ever got higher than this point right here. I think no, but I know that's not completely true because I know it went up to about $15,000. I think no, it was $13,000. So let me see what it looked like over the last year. Over the last year, yeah, it's approached 15, but apparently it never actually made it back, right? So it said, okay, now you can see the more detailed quote, 12,927. But it never got back to 15,000. So over the 5 year, you can see Bitcoin never ever went back to 19,000. So why am I saying this? Well, okay, there's a lot of news because Bitcoin is approaching what they call a halving in May. This is the month of May right now. It's still April 30th and May is tomorrow. It's 10:47 p.m. So we haven't hit May yet. Bitcoin is about to be halved, which means that the amount of Bitcoin is about to be reduced in half. The halvings increase the value of the individual Bitcoin because they're reducing the amount of Bitcoin that are in circulation. Ultimately, you can read up on what a halving is. You can read up on the technology that's involved in it. Now, here's a story that says there's a bright side to Bitcoin's drop on worsening unemployment. But let's understand a couple of basic premises. First of all, once the government got involved and said, yeah, now you're going to be liable for, declaring all taxation regarding Bitcoin, Bitcoin started to drop and it never fully recovered. That's number one. Number two, most major governments, specifically America and the IMF, they're not happy with Bitcoin existing because they feel it allows countries to launder money, drug dealers to launder money. America has put a lot of sanctions on a lot of countries like Bolivia, Venezuela, North Korea, so forth and so on. Being able to trade in cryptocurrency allows drug dealers and people who trade in cryptocurrency to get around the U.S. sanctions. They're not happy with that, and they've done everything they can to attack it. Like, for instance, Venezuela has a crypto called the Petro. I'm not, as an American, allowed to invest in the Petro. They knew that Venezuela would be able to shrug off U.S. sanctions by investing in the Petro. So they kept people like me, American citizens, from being able to buy into it, which is anti-free market, no matter how you slice it. U.S. sanctions are anti-free market, and in most cases, they're racist. Venezuela has the most oil on the planet. Bolivia has lithium, and we want lithium so that we can build Teslas and electric cars. But America is so busy giving all its money to Saudis, those people who attacked us on 9/11, that instead of us just buying in our own hemisphere from Venezuela, which is obviously a shorter trip because Venezuela is right nearby, they would rather do business with the Saudis in order to be able to help them control the Middle East. So the economic sanctions are racist, they're short-sighted, and these countries aren't stupid. They're not going to starve because they got to kiss Trump's ass. They're not going to fucking starve. They're going to go underground. They're going to trade their money and currency using cryptocurrency, and they're going to get what they got to get their way. They're not going to fucking starve and die just because some racist in the White House says so. They're like, fuck you. I'll figure out a way around the IMF, around the Federal Reserve. And meanwhile, while your people are over there in America dying of coronavirus and it's killing y'all off, we're going to be down here doing business our own way. The drug dealers have always been the same way in Colombia and Bolivia and all those countries. Afghanistan, it depends where you want to go. There's drugs, there's opium. But they're not going to let America control them. Furthermore, they have the backing of China and Russia. They're not going to let America control them forever. These countries, they're not fucking stupid. They know what's going on, and they're not going to let America control them. So what America has done is America has created an anti-free market that makes it so American citizens like myself cannot invest where we want to invest our money. There's nothing free market about that. So every time you hear one of these fucking Republican lying pieces of shit say something about the free market, I want you to repeat exactly what I'm saying to you right now. There's a reason why there's so many of these piece of shit loser Trump supporters on my channel, and these morons who watch Fox News and these idiots who watch conservative talk, who come on my channel and talk so much shit. It's because they know that what I'm saying is true. They cannot override what I'm saying because I'll block your fucking ass and I'll get rid of your comment in seconds. It only takes seconds to get rid of you. But I don't even have to do that because the thing about it is I can stand on the facts and the truth, and I know what's going on. I've traveled the world enough to know what's going on, and I see what's going on. So basically that's it. So why am I making this video? Just to get back to, the basics. try not to allow yourself to get suckered into Bitcoin. People, when this thing was rising to 19,000, a lot of people took a lot of money and dumped it into Bitcoin. The reason why this person over here is able to make fun of my video is because he thinks that Bitcoin is going to go up forever, and I already know that it's not. It's not going to go up in perpetuity because the problem is Bitcoin is not money. The American dollar is what Bitcoin is traded against. The yen is what Bitcoin is traded against. The Chinese yuan is what it's traded against. Bitcoin does not stand on its own. Bitcoin is not used to pay employees. Bitcoin is not used to pay taxes. The federal government does not allow you to take Bitcoin and pay your tax bills using Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not money. As much as people want to talk bad about the US dollar and the inflation and everything, which I totally understand, the simple fact is the US dollar is backed by the American government and it's a reserve currency. The Chinese yuan is backed by the Chinese government. It is a reserve currency. The Japanese yen is backed by the Japanese government. It is a reserve currency. The Russian ruble, anything else, whatever you want to point to, the Indian rupee, the Seychelles rupee, the Filipino peso, the Mexican peso, the Dominican peso, it doesn't matter. All of those things are money. They have a controlling central bank controlling their value. You don't see fluctuations in the US dollar as crazy as you see in Bitcoin. There's never been a time where the US dollar rose in value rapidly just because people were talking about it and then declined rapidly just because people stopped talking about it. Bitcoin is that. Bitcoin is an extremely risky, speculative asset. You know what another speculative asset we can point to is? Recent memory. Toilet paper. During the run-up to the coronavirus quarantine, toilet paper increased in value. You may remember I made a video where one of my friends asked me to buy her a package of toilet paper. It was $36, and they were charging $1 per roll. Her option at that point was, you know what? Either I can get this $36 paper towel package or I cannot get it. But I got to be able to wipe my ass. My kid has to be able to wipe their ass. My husband needs to be able to wipe my ass. So you know what? Let me just pay Big Truck Series Review and let him go buy the toilet paper for me. It was a speculative asset. The price on toilet paper skyrocketed because toilet paper was difficult to get because people were buying it up and hoarding it. The price of these masks, speculative asset. Now, obviously, the masks are an essential piece of equipment just for you to stay your ass alive. However, the price on these masks has skyrocketed. Cotton masks should never be able to cost $6 or $5 a piece, ever. They're hand stitched, for God's sakes. And most people I feel bad for because most people don't understand that when you reuse those things, they're not as effective as they were the last time. And furthermore, you really got to wash them off in hydrogen peroxide just to be able to reuse them without the risk of infecting yourself. Bottom line is that's another story. What I'm trying to say is try not to allow yourself to get wrapped up in Bitcoin. Bitcoin is a speculative asset. The halving is going to cause Bitcoin to shoot up in value. I agree with that. That I understand. Bitcoin will shoot up in value far more than any of this other shit. You remember when everybody in the office was talking about Ripple and they were talking about Tron and all these other shit coins? Well, it's just like the movie Wolf in Wall Street. What you do is you sell the big stock and then you trick everybody into investing in all the little shitty stocks. But most of Bitcoin, like Bitcoin Cash and all those other spinoffs, none of that stuff has really gone anywhere. The problem is the people who invested in all of this shit, they are stuck in those things. And if they sell out of them, they're going to lose whatever money they invested in them. So what they're hoping is that if they hold on to that shit, it'll come back. Ethereum, Litecoin, those things will gradually come back slowly as the media speculation is put towards Bitcoin and they start talking about Bitcoin again. But I think so many people got burned with Bitcoin before and lost so much money that most people aren't really going to invest in it unless they invest small amounts of money. With Bitcoin, the smartest way to invest in it is to invest in it knowing that it's a Ponzi scheme. What they say is you buy the dip. Bitcoin is $8,725 right now. I guarantee you that there's going to be another dip in Bitcoin's price this time next year. You're going to see lots of crashes in Bitcoin within the next 2 years. I mean, first of all, your investing base is unemployed. There's 30 million people filing unemployment. The people who aren't unemployed are dying. I mean, we're up to we've lost more people than we lost in Vietnam. So it's important to understand that this is not like 2017. This is not like 2018. The investor sentiment is poor because of the fact that current market conditions are poor. The stock market has lost trillions of dollars because of coronavirus. Bitcoin should have been $100,000 by now because people should have been investing this in order to safeguard their wealth. But here's the problem. Unlike gold and silver, precious metals, Bitcoin is not a great store of wealth. The only people that Bitcoin is a store of wealth for are the people who got back in long ago before it hit $1,000 a coin. If you had invested $1,000 in Bitcoin when it was $1,000 a coin, right now you'd basically be at $8,725. Your problem is right now would be the time you're waiting for to sell your Bitcoin to people who want your Bitcoin. There are people who do invest and trade in Bitcoin. There are expats who live in other countries. What they're hoping is that they can sell you services that you'll buy so that they can get your Bitcoin. They don't accept American money. They don't accept regular PayPal payments. They want you to pay them in Bitcoin because they believe that its value is going to keep appreciating, or at least they believe that their value is going to appreciate in Bitcoin enough to support them in whatever they do. The people who bought Bitcoin or mined Bitcoin when they were like 10 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, or whatever, way long ago, yeah, if I bought into Bitcoin back then, I would have bought it exactly like I bought my penny stocks. If I see a penny stock that's less than a penny, I'll buy 1,000 shares, pay $100 for it. And if I had 100 times 8,725 right now, I'd be up $800,725 or whatever it is. Do the math. But usually when I buy penny shares, I try to either buy 100 shares or I try to buy 1,000 shares. And in some cases, if it's less than a penny, I'll buy 1,000 shares. And the reason why is because when you're dealing with these oil companies, the oil companies make you your money back fast. And like, for instance, my TD Ameritrade watch list, where is it? My TD Ameritrade watch list is here. And just to show you the things that I've purchased and that I watch on a regular basis, anything that was less than a penny, I either bought 100 shares or I bought 1,000 shares in it, and I'm already up. Like basically, let me just say it like this. I've invested $30,000 into the stock market, and I've earned quadruple that $30,000. Now, when you own multiple houses like I do, your money gets spent up fast because ultimately the goal is to pay off your houses as quickly as possible. So this way you can, be debt-free and relax. A lot of other guys who are getting money fast, what they're doing is they're buying flashy cars and stuff like that. And I realize that, when you buy a car, that's a depreciating asset. You lose $30,000 of your money. Like if you buy a Hellcat, you lose $30,000 if you bought that Hellcat new. And that's just a simple fact. I don't even like talking about, buying cars anymore because I understand that somebody like Warren Buffett would slap me in the head and say, this is the reason why you stay broke. It's because you're buying depreciating assets. When you have that kind of money to invest, you got $30,000, you got $50,000 or something, $40,000. Instead of buying a car with it, what you should be doing is buying stock. Right now, the stock market's on sale. These are just a couple of stocks that I have bought into. CVX, XOM. These are gas companies. Chevron. Condoleezza Rice? She was sitting on the board of directors of Chevron. $92 a share. Chevron had a 52-week low of $51. That means for every single share you bought, you'd be up to $91. That means you basically damn near doubled your money, and its 52-week high was $127. That's how you, for those of you who don't know how to read stocks, this is how you decipher the information. It's easy to learn this, and once you start investing and you see yourself actually appreciating in value, like you invest in some stocks right now and they start going up, that's when you learn more and more about investing and you become self-studying. Anybody can do this shit, but only, very few of us can master it. Exxon Mobil was $80 at its high, but because of coronavirus, everything's basically been knocked down to these lows. When I bought into Exxon, it was a little bit more than $30, just like when I bought into Tesla. For every single share of Exxon I bought, I'm up to $45 per share. So that means I gained $15 from each share. From every 30 I gained $15. That's how this works. RDS, this is Royal Dutch Shell. They were knocked down to, its 50-week low was $15. It's currently at $23.66, but it's high, or the potential it'll go back to after coronavirus is over and everybody's unquarantined and the airplanes start flying and using fuel and the boats start moving again and start using fuel and the people start driving around and using fuel and now there's traffic again. These highs are where they were most likely before coronavirus hurt them. But in order for you to understand that, all you got to do is read their 3-month highs. So this way you see where they were right before coronavirus beat them down. Or their 6 months highs. Sunoco, for every single, purchase of Sunoco I made, right now it's $24. 52-week high, where Sunoco is most likely going, is $34. These are dividend-paying stocks. So if you hold on to certain stocks, you actually get dividends off of each share. So depending upon what their percentage is per share, that will tell you how much you're getting back. But I can tell you right now, all of these stocks that pay dividends are doing way better than the US dollar is, because if you put your money in the bank, you're only getting 0.05% interest. The most you'll see is 1%, maybe 2%, but you're not even going to see that. The most you're seeing is probably about 0.05, because most people don't have that much money saved. That was one of the problems with America going into coronavirus. Then if you go on down, I bought banks. I've been telling everybody, buy the banks, buy the banks, buy the banks. Originally, I was telling people buy the airlines. The airlines, in many cases, are up. But the problem is, as long as coronavirus has us in a quarantine, the airlines are not profitable. Some of them have taken the route of saying, okay, we're not going to pay you dividends this year because we need to keep being in some ways profitable, and we can't afford to pay you dividends. The banks are profitable. The banks have done nothing but go up. I told people to get into JP Morgan Chase when JP Morgan Chase was $90, and that was, almost a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. Their low was $76. So you buy one share for $76, and now you're up to $95. Their high is $141. As you can see, most of these things are getting highlighted as time goes on because there's aftermarket trading going on. Capital One, I told people to get into it when it was lower. I think Capital One was close to $50 when I was telling people to get into it. Capital One's $64 right now. I was telling people to get into Wells Fargo. Some people are like, oh, no, I'm not buying shit from Wells Fargo. Them motherfuckers are traders and they make fake accounts and all that shit. Okay, I totally understand that. The thing about it is I'm not here to judge you. I'm here to make my fucking money. That's it. So when I bought into Wells Fargo is like $26 a share. Right now it's up $3, $29. And the high that it can possibly go back to after coronavirus, $54. So coronavirus has put this entire stock market on sale. We've got Bank of America. I bought Bank of America. I bought Investors Bank Corp, which is still under $10. Investors Bank Corp had a high of 12. This is one of my personal banks. So, now I'm a shareholder. So when I walk in there, it's like now they have to treat me with more respect than they did just for me keeping money in their bank. Oil stocks. There were a lot of penny oil stocks. I told people to buy into these things. Anybody who listened to me and spent money on these oil stocks is up right now. 2 of them that I spoke specifically about, and the beautiful thing is you've got me on video, so you can go back and you can look at my videos. I told people to buy this one right here, SM Energy, and I also told people to buy Silica specifically. Now, I bought a bunch of these other ones, but these 2 I want to focus on right now. Why did I tell you to buy these? Because they pay dividends. What dividends did they pay? Well, this one had a dividend yield of 61%. This one had a dividend yield of 4.21. This one is currently up to $1.92. But this one, when I bought it, this was $1 something. When I told everybody to buy it, it was only like $1. This shit is up to $4.05. So for every single share that I bought, I'm up $3 on just that. Just that. But now, one thing you'll notice is that I've bounced around talking about different types of companies. Like, for instance, the cruise lines. Royal Caribbean is fucking moving. They don't give a fuck. They are up. I told people buying the Royal Caribbean, that shit was like $35 a share. I told people buy into that. Now it's up to $46.77. Then there's Carnival. I told people to buy into Carnival when it was like $12 or $11. It's up to $15. My problem with the cruise lines is that the cruise lines, when you think about a cruise is a cramped location. People aren't going to trust cruises for a while. People aren't going to trust being on airplanes for a while. So while you could get into the airlines at their cheapest, which is why I was telling people to try to get American Airlines when it was under $10, it had dropped below $10 at least once within the last week, and it was like $9 and something, but now it's at $12. If it drops again, your time to try to buy in is under $10 because that'll give you the most return for your money. Then there was Boeing. Boeing was $138. Boeing makes the goddamn planes. I bought Boeing, $139 per share. It's up to $141 right now. Delta. I told people to try to get Delta below $20. The lowest Delta was, because Delta is a good company and they pay dividends, they pay 5.70. The lowest you could have gotten Delta was $19. Delta is $25 right now. So basically, if you spread your money around like I told you, and you bought the oil companies, you bought the airlines, you bought the cruise lines, and then you started buying banks, and I have to apologize. If I really could do this all over again, I would have told all of you to buy the banks first, then buy the cruise lines and airlines. And when oil crashed, that was my signal to buy oil. And as soon as oil crashed, that's when you'll see that I made this video right here called I'm an Oil Man. So you got to kind of go back to some of my old videos in order to see all of the picks that I've made. But I made this video right here. And I made this video right here called I'm an Oil Man because what I did was I started buying the penny stocks that I showed you here. And then I went back and I started buying the larger corporations because I felt that the larger corporations aren't just about oil. They're diversified. The larger corporations, Exxon, Chevron, Shell, all of the larger corporations are diversified. They are doing alternative energy in order to make themselves appear to be green for these goddamn liberals who are, I want to buy a Tesla because the Tesla doesn't make smoke and smog. What they don't understand is that that energy is coming from elsewhere. So all electric cars do is they move the point of energy production, or they move the point of emissions to someplace you may or may not see it. An electric car, a cell phone, a computer, it gets its fucking power from somewhere else. See all these fucking wires I got? See all these wires and shit? All this is plugged into that wall over there. That energy is coming from somewhere. Your green car is not fucking green. Your green car uses oil and gas. But, you know, listen, if people think they have a handle in the world and they think they have some level of control, you know, that allows them to move on to every single day and everything. You know, that allows them to have a handle on their life if they feel that there's some level of control, despite there is no level of control. It's just like these idiots with their guns marching around state capitals, thinking that the government can't simply decide to turn on them and just kill them all, like bomb them from the air with a Predator drone or something. They think that can't happen. I know it can happen. If you remember, there was this thing called Operation Move. You probably haven't heard of that because they don't teach you fucking history. But Operation Move was this situation in Philadelphia where they actually took a helicopter and bombed people. The government said, yeah, fuck you guys. It was racist for the most part. They were bombing what was called the Black Liberation Movement or whatever. But you can always read up on that, because I know you don't know history, because most of y'all don't pay attention to history class. Most of you have teachers who don't teach you history, or at least they don't teach it to you the way where you'd understand it from a multicultural perspective. And I'm very fortunate that I grew up in the 80s and the 90s, because back then there was so much information that was being forced on me, and I didn't have the ability to simply play a Nintendo Switch and sit in class not learning shit and then turn into a moron who doesn't know anything except how to run orders for Grubhub or Uber. So, I got lucky. But anyway, I want to get ready to end this video, and my whole point is buy stocks. Buy dividend yield stocks that pay you back for holding them. Split up your money, diversify. I've got lithium mining stock. I got all this shit. I got lithium mining. I got coronavirus development. As you notice, Gilead Science, they have this virus. They have a virus antiviral agent. Sanofi is a producer. Sanofi is what Trump was hyping with that hydroxychloroquine. That hydroxychloroquine really hasn't gone anywhere, because the problem is they can't do the testing phases as quickly as people want them to do. Bottom line is, when you're in these things, if you bought in at like the $30 range, you'd be getting paid 3.52%. And Gilead Sciences, they have this new drug. When you go into these things, they allow you to see quotes for these, and they also allow you to see what is called news, and the news allows you to see what's going on with the company. Like, for instance, what's the name of Redactivir or Recidivir or some shit. So they tell you the news. That's how you do your study. So this way you can read up on these companies and you can find out Remdesivir. Yeah, that's the name of the drug that they're creating. It's called Remdesivir. I heard somebody call it Remdesivir, but no, it's Remdesivir. Remdesivir. So Gilead Sciences, their stock is up. They pay dividends. And bottom line is, it's like you have to be in this to win it. And again, the only reason why I'm making this video is because I'm really disappointed in the Bitcoin people. Because the Bitcoin people, what they do is they go to every other video on the internet and they talk shit about, oh yeah, you're stupid to be in stocks. You're stupid to be in gold. You should buy Bitcoin. Bitcoin really hasn't moved in an entire year. 6,000 to 8,000, unless you sell out of it right now. And let's say you bought in at 6,000. If you sold out of it right now, you'd make the gain that you would get from the fact that Bitcoin's now 8,000. Problem is, it took over a year for this shit to start going up. You have no idea where it's going. And unless you sell it at a high, you're taking a loss unless you decide to just hold on to it. With stocks and dividend paying stocks, all I have to do is hold those stocks, and over time I get dividends out of those stocks. So I get percentages per share out of those stocks. You're talking about me having hundreds of different shares and each of those dividend stocks paying small amounts of money. Then they also have what's called a dividend reinvestment plan. It's called a DRIP, dividend reinvest. Let me see, where is it? Okay, dividend reinvestment plan. Most of these companies that allow you to invest, they have some type of dividend reinvestment plan. Dividend reinvestment allows the company to automatically take some of the money that you've gained using when you buy the stocks and you start to appreciate. Dividend reinvestment plans can either send that money to your bank account that you've earned from the dividend payments, or it can take that money and use it to buy more stock without you having to physically micromanage it. Either way, you're earning more. With Bitcoin, the only way you can really make money on Bitcoin is to buy into Bitcoin when it's low, when there's a dip, and then to sell out of it when the price starts to go up. So if you bought Bitcoin right now, you're buying a fraction of Bitcoin, unless you can afford to buy individual amounts of coin that are $8,704 a piece. But if you want to buy fractional amounts of Bitcoin, you can buy fractional amounts of Bitcoin. What the Bitcoin people don't want me to tell you is that there's a lot of people who bought Bitcoin a long time ago. They're holding on to it because they bought it when it was low, and they want to sell it when it's high. When they sell out of it, the value of Bitcoin drops And that's what we've been seeing. We've been seeing multiple Bitcoin crashes, despite the fact that we're in a situation where right now Bitcoin should be rallying because people should be running to Bitcoin to store their wealth. The problem is they're not going to it to store wealth. They want to put a certain amount of money into it and take a certain amount of money out of it. If you take $100 and you were to put it in Bitcoin yesterday, you'd be up today, but you don't know what Bitcoin's going to be like a week, a month, a year from now. So unless you sell out of it, you're not making a profit. You just have money that's locked up in Bitcoin. If you were one of those people, like there are people who've mortgaged their houses and poured it into cryptocurrency. Some of them made out very well, and they were able to get their money in, first money out. And they were able to get their money with interest, with profit, while everybody else was getting excited about it and putting money in. And that's what you're seeing. When people are excited about certain stocks and certain speculative assets, they put their money in, the price goes up. Toilet paper. When everybody said, oh shit, I got to get toilet paper, they put their money in, bought the toilet paper. The toilet paper was sold out because there was a limited amount of it. Toilet paper values skyrocketed. That's how they were able to sell me a pack of toilet paper for $1 a roll. Nobody would ever buy toilet paper for $1 a roll if they could avoid it. But there was none left. And because there was none left, you're forced to buy into it. They want you to put your money in so that they can take their money out. That's how this works. The bottom line of any stock investment, buy low, sell high. The second rule, buy on the rumor, sell on the fact. When you hear everybody talking about something, you start to buy into the rumor. That's why Trump comes out and he's talking all this shit about hydroxychloroquine. You buy the rumor. Once we find out that shit don't work properly, you sell. So you're up. You bought it at $30, you sell at $45. That's how it works. It's very simple. The third rule is when everybody else is greedy, that's when you should pull back. When everybody else is in fear, that's when you should buy. Right now is still a time of fear. How many people are dead right now? Let's see. Let's see why these people are so afraid. Let's see. 234,000 people are dead because of coronavirus. Not a military attack, not a nuclear weapon, just a virus that kills you. As soon as it gets into you, it eats your goddamn lungs up. This is why people are afraid. This fear has broken the market and pushed everybody into their house on quarantine. They're trying to open up the market, and they're accepting the fact that there's going to be a lot of collateral damage. It's no different than a war. Man, these are some ugly ass shoes. What are these supposed to be, moccasins? I have to say, when I worked at the bank, anytime you closed a loan or when you closed your first loan, you were expected to buy a pair of these Ferragamo shoes. And I bought a pair of these things. They got these, man, I'll never forgive myself for spending that money to buy these damn shoes, these Ferragamos. I know I'm way off subject, but that's just what I do. I talk. So anyway, these Ferragamo shoes, these moccasins and loafers. I bought a pair of these goddamn things for $500 fucking dollars, and I got them on sale. I went to Neiman Marcus with my grandfather, and he had suits because he was rich, so he got his suits from Neiman Marcus. I went with him, and he was having his suits tailored, done, and all this right at the Short Hills Mall in New Jersey. I haven't been in there a long time. There's really nothing there. It's a posh mall. It's like that. We have a Neiman Marcus here in Roosevelt Field, but they don't sell anywhere near as much as the Short Hills Mall. But when you buy these shoes, it's like once you closed your first loan, you were expected to buy yourself some Ferragamos just to show off how well you did when you sold a loan or refinanced a loan or whatever. And usually your paycheck was pretty high. Like when you get a paycheck on commission, usually it was like $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. And in the winter months, some of us made like $40,000, $50,000 because we had sold multiple loans and we got those big bonus checks and everything. Those days are pretty much done. Anybody who's selling real estate now, I mean, that kind of money that we made back then, you're not making that kind of money now. I mean, some people can make that kind of money. I know, there's some people whose wives, I'm not going to name names, but their wives sell real estate. They're making good money. And it depends where you are, and it depends what your market's like. But anyway, I've digressed. Coronavirus has killed 234,105 people. In America, now the top deaths in countries is the USA and Italy. Italy got hit, but America came right past them. The Italians did a really good quarantine, and they listened to their government. My problem is I have a stupid president who doesn't know shit, and he tries to pretend that he knows everything when he doesn't. And then I have all these sycophants surrounding him, and it seems like he's always trying to get rid of anybody who the people actually trust and believe, i.e. Dr. Fauci. So when Dr. Fauci starts speaking, the mere fact that he has DR next to his name, Dr. MD, that means you should shut the fuck up because you don't know shit. Imagine if I go into a doctor's office and I start telling him what it is. Like, I've walked into doctor's offices before and I've said, hey, doc, I need you to look at something because I think I have a specific disease. And the doctor is like, oh, well, why do you think that? And it's like, yeah, well, I was on WebMD and they asked me the symptoms and then it said I had such and such. Sometimes I've been right, sometimes I've been wrong, but what I can't do is I can't prescribe medication. When a doctor's talking, you should shut the fuck up. You shouldn't be speaking. Let him tell you what to do. If you don't think that he's got a good idea or a good opinion, because a lot of this is scientific method, go to another doctor. What you don't do is go to some dumbass fucking politician who acts like they know everything. That's the mistake you don't do. It can cost you your life. Like those morons who heard this idiot talking about chloroquine. The fucking guy goes out, buys the shit, drinks it, finds out it's a fishbowl cleaner, dies. His wife, I think, is still alive, but this guy is dead now. So I guess we can add his name up here. We can add him to the total deaths. America has lost 63,861 people according to this right here. The breakdown shows you different states, but Vietnam only killed less than 59,000 soldiers. So already we're headed to 100,000. When this first began, Trump said that the quarantine could last 18 months and that it could kill 250,000 Americans. I hope that doesn't happen, but considering how many of these people are determined to break quarantine, it looks like it very well might. I hate the fact that that's true, but unfortunately, this is what I live with. New York, my state, hardest hit, 23,780. New Jersey, 7,228. Michigan, 3,789, and it goes off from there. Most of these states, they've been hit pretty bad. Some of these states have barely been hit. Where's Hawaii? Because Hawaii is lucky because they're not anywhere near us. Where is Hawaii? Hawaii, I gotta look at it by... Hawaii has had a total of 16 deaths. The Hawaiian governor, he got on and he said, do me a favor, don't come here. And they locked down transport, which is why the airlines are, hurting right now because you can't easily go from one state to another. But when the governors were smart, they said, no. We should have no travel. We need total quarantine. And that's that. And forget the economy because the economy ain't going to come back if everybody's fucking dead either. So, yeah, I understand you don't like sitting at home bored. Thing about it is we don't need you dying because when these people are dying, they're not just dying. They're removing money from the system. They're removing productivity from the system. They're removing skill and expertise from the system. A whole lot of people are dead now and are going to keep dying. And if that keeps happening, the stock market could go in any direction because the problem is there's a lot of stock owners who are dead now. A lot of these people own stock of some type. So the thing about it is if they're so anxious to restart, work, they're going to put us in a situation where there's going to be so many fucking dead people. What are you going to do? This is not good leadership, and these people are playing games and gambling with our very lives, and that's just where we are. But this is the fear in the market that has made it so that the market has not been able to really recover. That's the fear. So now that you know where it is, the question is, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to profit off of it? And I'm just going to say it just this simple, and then I'm going to shut up and go to bed because it's like, 11:26. I'm going to finalize this video. Buy gas stocks, buy bank stocks, buy oil stocks, buy cruise lines if you can afford it, buy airlines if you can afford it. Banks and oil are our future for the time being. Everybody's got a bank, everybody needs oil. Banks and oil first, airlines third, cruise lines after that. And then if you want to risk some money in biopharma technology like coronavirus development, risk that money last. Aim for the dividend yield stocks. Aim for things that are going to pay you back if you decide to hold on to them. Some of these you'll notice pay dividends. JetBlue does not. United Airlines does not. Some of these companies have been hit so hard that they're going to deny dividends for a little while until they're profitable again. That may take 2 or 3 years. You don't know. You don't know what the second wave of coronavirus is going to look like. You don't know what the third wave of coronavirus is going to look like. But what you do know is people need these banks to protect their money, and they need these banks for loans, considering a lot of them are going to be unemployed. They are going to need personal loans. They are going to need new cars. They are going to need new houses. They're going to want to move. They're going to need loans. Buy the banks, not Bitcoin.